Shalom, family. It's good to see you all here. I hope everybody is having a glorious day. Now, to my moderators, and I know I have like a whole army of you, and that is intentional. There is a new times out implemented by YouTube. You can now times out a person for 10 minutes or a full 24 hours. If you are a moderator, you should have the ability to do this. But if somebody is coming into the comments, they are being racist, they are being unruly on purpose, on purpose, being totally disrespectful, I still would prefer that you block them above all else. All right. So that's the direction I want to go. And I just want to get rid of these people as quickly as possible. And you do have the ability to do this. Nobody should be disrupting the live stream or anything that's going on in the chat. All right. Okay. So we're going to talk about the Crown Act. Now, when the Crown Act was implemented, it had to come into being because so many people, and America is very racist. We already know this. And if they can't get you on skin color, they try to get you other ways. So the next best thing was our hair. And our people were being discriminated on jobs, in school, and everything pertaining to the hair because they couldn't get you any other way. Now they have found loopholes in it, and especially our children are still being punished in these schools over their hair. And they are totally disrespecting the Crown Act. And it's an act of racism. They don't want us to be left alone in this society. And that's the big reason why we don't have a crime bill, despite the fact that we get the most hate crimes directed towards us. They don't want us to have protections. They want us to be sitting ducks for everyone to pick on when they're good and ready. That's how they want us. And they are fighting tooth and nail to keep it that way. They're not fighting for no crime bill, y'all. Let's be real. They're not fighting for us to have any kind of crime bill or any protections out here. So it tells me they intentionally want us to be open for any kind of attack. It is very obvious. You don't have a single politician talking about protecting us as a group. And you know what? You never will. We have to be realistic about this whole thing. Nobody sitting up in Capitol Hill is interested in protecting our group on any issue. And that is the truth. I know we keep talking about crime bills and reparations and qualified immunity. They don't want to do anything for us. Nothing. They don't care what happens to us out here, nor have they ever historically. So let's get into the latest thing that they're doing out here. And I think we all pretty much know about the Crown Act. I really should not have to go over that with you because most of you know what that is. So, the Crown Act, the whole basis of it was to protect us from race based hair discrimination. All right. And there are some people out here that are hell bent on denying that to us. And this is why states are now finding loopholes, and those people are acting on those loopholes because they don't want you to have that protection in the first place. So the Crown Act was created to abolish race-based hair discrimination. It's legal right now in 24 states, but we have all heard about Daryl George. He is the black teenager from Texas that has been on a back-to-back suspension over his hair, despite the fact that he wears his hair up, it's not touching his collar. He doesn't have any hair hanging down in his face, and they are still suspending him. He's far from the only one, y'all. So he's 18 years old. He goes to Barbers Hill High School. And this is an area that's very close to Houston. And him and his family have been in a battle for several months now with his school. And they keep saying his hair is in violation of the school dress code. Now, isn't that amazing? The only hair written into the dress code is our hair. I just find that very racist right there. So the school keeps claiming that Daryl George is violating the dress code because his hair they said the length of his hair is in violation. His family is insisting that this should be covered under the Crown Act, and they found this loophole that it's not. You know what? The fact that they find loopholes, that's an act of racism right there. It just is. So Daryl George and his family have been in a fight with the school since August when school began in Texas. The family has also reached out to Texas Governor Greg Abbott and the state attorney general, Ken Paxton, and they're not doing anything to make sure the Crown Act is enforced. So now the family is not only suing the school, they're suing the governor and the attorney general for a lack of concern in enforcing the law. And see, that's a big problem in America. America has a lot of laws on the books, y'all, but they pick and choose what they will and will not enforce. And it's always been this way. So, William Sherman, a lawyer who researched and crafted the strategy for the legislative enactment of the Crown Act, told YouTube News that white boys on Georgia's school's baseball team, which follows the dress code, have hair that violates the policy also. So, you got white males that are walking around in the same high school that Daryl George goes to, and they got the same kind of length to their hair, and they are not being punished at all. But according to the school, Daryl George's length violates the dress code. But they, at the same time, are ignoring these white teens that are walking around with their hair just as long. And from what I understand, there was a white teen that also had locks in the same school, and they're not bothering him. They're claiming that his hair is like that for religious purposes. What white religion have a requirement of dreadlocks? What's the name of that religion? I mean, these people are so full of crap, it's not even funny. So, this attorney, William Sherman, alleges that the school's selective enforcement of the dress code is all about race. And I agree with that. It seems to me that the Texas case, this young man is being singled out because of his protective style, not the length is offensive to the rules, but the style is offensive to the principle, Sherman added. So, there have been other incidents, ladies and gentlemen, that just did not make it out in the news as big as Daryl George. So in January of 2020, before the Crown Act was adopted in Texas, at the same high school, this is the same school that Daryl George is in, two other black teens, DeAndre Arnold and his cousin Caden Bradford, were also suspended for the length of their locks by that same principal. In 2021, the father of 7-year-old Journey Hoffmeyer, a biracial girl from Michigan, filed a federal lawsuit claiming racial discrimination against Mount Pleasant Public School after an elementary school staff member who were also white, this is a white staff member, cut the girl's hair without the parents' permission. Some of y'all might remember that. I did a video on her. Michigan, they adopted the Crown Act in June of 2023. In Georgia, Milton Myrie A former police officer in the Atlanta area sued South Fulton, the city of South Fulton, in 2023 after he said he was discriminated against because of his locks. So he's a Rastafarian, and he said he has his locks because of his religion. Now, yeah, I've seen many, in fact, most Rastafarians do have locks. That is very true. He was told by the city police department that he had to cut off his locks to be hired. He signed on for the job and then he resigned shortly after seeing Black women in his department with locks. Now, they told the Black man he could not have locks, but he saw Black women in the same department with locks. So he resigned, but he is filing suit against them. Although Georgia has not adopted the Crown Act, Fulton County implemented the act in 2020. So it's in Fulton County, it's just not statewide. So, by law, how is the Crown Act defined? It's a law that prohibits race based hair discrimination, which is the denial of employment and educational opportunities because of hair textures, protective styles, which Daryl George is wearing. He is wearing his hair in a protective style, and that should be enough in the law to cover him, but they're saying, "No, it doesn't cover length." You see how rotten these folks are? So, a federal version of the act passed in the House of Representatives in 2022, but it did not pass in the Senate because, see, they think it's frivolous. See, anything that don't impact them, it's frivolous. They don't see what the big deal is. Yeah, because you don't have to live under all of the racism that we face. So, yeah, I guess it is frivolous to someone like you. So, anyway, in the African American community, the best hairstyles to protect the health of the hair are braids, twists, locks, etc. Because you're not using any chemicals and you're not exposing the hair to heat. So, they're saying here's where the Crown Act is not protected. The Crown Act does not address length, which was they're saying that was left out of it on purpose. That's what they're saying. It was left out on purpose due to the circumstance where hair length could be a danger to a person, such as job involvement. Somebody working on a job and they're using machinery and their hair can get caught up in the machine. So, following George's suspension for his hair, State Rep Ron Reynolds, the chair of the Texas Legislative Black Caucus, said he planned to file an amendment that specifically addresses length to stop their perpetual argument to not comply with the Crown Act. And at the end of the day, y'all, that's what it is. They don't want to comply to something that pertains to us. And that is the truth. Sherman advises that when you bring cases under the Crown Act, you should not argue culture, shared experience of a particular community, because it's constantly changing. You should argue race. That's what he's saying. You should argue based on race, on why they're making everything about hair length. And it really is. So when we started arguing that, as has been said in the Texas case, well, it's part of his culture, even though it's true and that is his culture, it's not legally protected. But you can demonstrate that through the law, through jurisprudence, that the hair and race are intertwined. So he said, if you got to fight the Crown Act, because you got employers or a school that's constantly still trying to get you over your hair, you're better off arguing it from a race perspective than culture. That's what he is saying. Y'all, we can't catch a break to save our mama's life. We cannot catch a break. They can't stand us to have freedoms over anything, including our hair. And it just goes to show you the fact that they don't want to enforce the Crown Act, it is an act of racism. And I do agree with him. You should be arguing it on terms of racism and not cultural. I do agree with that. But it's a shame that we have to go through this even when there's a law on the books. Look at what we still have to go through even when there's a law on the book. You know? Mm, mm, mm. Yeah. Yeah, that is real hatred. And it's very telling when in school it's these white administrators that are constantly trying to go after black children over this Crown Act and trying to disregard the Crown Act altogether and still go after our children. Mhm. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it is a disgrace. I feel bad for our children because this is certainly no fault of their own, and they are the ones that are taking it on the chin up in these schools, and it should not be this way. It should not be this way at all. Oh, yeah, you're right, October Opal. It's not meant to help or protect us. That's why they're doing all that they can to go around this law or look for loopholes or anything just so they don't have to enforce it. And that's what I'm seeing going on here, especially in the case of Daryl George. And you got a school principal that have a pattern of doing this to the black teens, the males in the school. He got a pattern of doing this. And then he don't pay attention to the children that got, the white male teens that got long hair. He just ignores them. And that right there tells you he is not concerned about no policy. It is not about no dress code policy at all. Mhm. But I'm glad one thing, at least Daryl George and his family, they lawyered up. And I hope the rest of these children that are going through it, I hope their parents do the same thing. Yeah, well, you know, first of all, I'm glad to see a lot of our children with natural hair now. Even 20 years back, you still saw a lot of children with relaxed hair. A lot of the adult women were still walking around with relaxed hair. But today, even when I see the kids going to school around here, there's a lot of our children in natural hair now. And I love seeing that. I really, truly do. And I hope that we continue to go down that road with our children because that only makes their hair healthier. And that is what I really like. Yeah, yeah. No, the principal is clearly racist. There's been 3 incidents at that school over hair, and all 3 students were black males. And I know white teen because I went to school back even when I went to high school, there were several of the black not black, but white teenagers at that time, and they were walking around with long hair all down their back. And I don't recall any of them getting sent home over their hair. They didn't do that. And apparently they still don't. Oh, yeah. Randall Johnson, there are articles out now you can actually sue. They have class action suits against many of the hair companies. And because some of the women developed ovarian cancer from using relaxers, and some got uterine fibroids also from using hair relaxers. Mhm. You know, I just got tired of using relaxers back in the day, and back around 2011, that's when I did my big chop. I just cut all that relaxed hair off and I started all over again. And man, that was the best decision I have ever made. I'm so glad I did it. I've been natural ever since. And I don't miss I don't miss having all of that relaxed hair anyway. I don't miss it at all. Oh, True Oil is fine. She's home just doing the best that she can. I know she is still getting physical therapy, but for the most part, she's hanging in there. She's doing okay. Yeah, and I like it too. Denise, I agree with that because I love having my natural hair. And having our natural hair, you know what that really means? We're not conforming to anybody else's ways. We're not. We're doing what we want with our hair, and we want, if we wanna wear a protective style, or you wanna pick out a big afro and go around, and we do what we want with our hair, regardless to how other groups may feel about it. That's what I love about it. I don't have to conform to their ways. Mhm. I don't miss it, Gabriella. I hear you. I don't miss buying all them relaxers and all that, and I don't miss none of it. I really truly don't. But the nice part is when I go out and about, I don't see as many people with relaxed hair as I used to years ago. When I go out, I see more black women around me with natural hair. I see our brothers walking around with their natural hair, whether it's in locks or an afro or cut short. Everybody got their natural hair, and it looks beautiful to me. I love seeing it. Well, it's not like, you know, it's not like we relaxed our hair and we got treated better. We still didn't get treated well, even with relaxed hair, okay? We still didn't. That's why people are like, why even bother? It's not no benefit for us to relax our hair. It's not like, you get treated, or is less racism if your hair is relaxed. It's none of that. You still get the same dose of racism. It don't matter. So you might as well do what you want. Mhm. And I was looking at oh, let me just get out of there. I was looking at a video. This was a few nights ago of Asians getting their hair in afros now. I said, "Oh, okay." I remember back in the day it was ugly when we wore it, but now y'all trying to sport afros? I thought our hair was ugly. These people are a trip. So on us it's terrible, but on them it's like the coolest thing and the most trendy thing ever. Man, get out of here with that crap. Mhm. Yeah, well, I think really who still got relaxed hair? Candace Owens, and her hair, when she wears it down, her hair is practically see-through. She don't even realize that stuff is thinning her hair out badly. The few times you see her take her hair down and get all the because she wears a lot of pieces and weaves and stuff like that in her hair. She really does. And if you go back and look at her hair before she was doing updos and everything, her hair was practically see through. And I said, that's from wearing all those relaxers. And she still wears them. You can see, because, you can even see like on days when she don't really do her hair, you can even see her edges are all raggedy and everything. And I'm like, "Girl, you still putting them relaxers in?" She still is. Mhm. So y'all, you know, stay true to yourself, especially if you got your hair natural. What you feel and what you think is a hell of a lot more than people that don't look like you when it comes down to your hair. So everybody, I'm gonna go ahead and conclude. Thank you so much for being here. I am gonna be talking about Hannah Payne and the verdict that she received, life without parole. I mean, I'm sorry, life with parole is what she received this morning. And we'll talk about that a little later around 6:30 today. So I hope to see all of you back then. So please enjoy the rest of your day and we'll be back with another topic. Shalom family.